yourselves, you can go to the bottom nav to the chat and open up the chat and select everyone from the drop down and let us know who's here. You're welcome to drop in places where people can connect with you or find your bio. A lot of people put their LinkedIn in the chat. Also, feel free to post comments in there throughout the show. For questions for the panel, if you can put them in the Q&A area to the left of the chat, it makes it a lot easier for our moderators to navigate and try to get to as many questions as we can throughout the show. I think this is a fantastic topic. Our friends at Scuti put this session together, and it's really something that I think is going to be eye-opening for folks. The topic for our opening session is how brand-fueled rewards will drive the game's ecosystem. And let me introduce our panelists. Nicholas Mangano is CEO and co-founder of Scuti. Welcome, Nicholas.
Thank you, and welcome to everybody. Thanks for having us.
Great to have you here. And Mark Fonsetti is CRO and CMO of Scuti. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, thank you so much for having us and looking forward to a great panel today.
Terrific. And Ofer Gertner is co-founder and CRO of Buff Technologies. Welcome, Ofer. Oh, you're on mute. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. Happy to be.
And last but not least is Ricardo Flores. Ricardo is executive producer of Avakin Life and studio ops for Lockwood Publishing Lisbon. Welcome, Ricardo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Looking for
this amazing talk. I'll turn off my video and have a great show, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll actually start sharing my screen and we can go from there. Thank you again for joining us today and welcome. I'm Nicholas Longano, the CEO of Scuti. I've been in the games business now as both a publisher and developer for well over 22 years. And that's pretty much, our entire team has had equal, if not more, experience with video games, but also with packaged goods as well. I was fortunate enough to be able to work with Blizzard on some of their big titles, with Valve on, the likes of Half-Life and Counter-Strike. And then a few years later, pioneered the first in-game advertising company called Massive, which was later acquired by Microsoft. For those of you that are not too familiar with Scuti, Scuti is a rewards marketplace which allows players to shop curated brands directly from their games and receive rewards which give them a better game experience. It's pretty simple. And today I'm joined by three incredible folks with great backgrounds in video games, and I'll let them introduce themselves. But we're going to be covering how brand-fueled rewards are playing a more and more important role in the game's ecosystem. And why don't we start with Ricardo? Let's start with you. You're in Avakin Life, I can see in the background there, so please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Ricardo. I've been in the video game industry and on mobile industry of video games pretty much since 2004, so Java games at those times. Branded content and brands in video games has been part of my career. Did work with the Billabong games, Mega Ramp back in California also, so working with bringing athletes also to the video games world. On Avakin, it's also what we do. We create experience and we allow as a platform brands and artists and upcoming artists to create communities around them. That's pretty much also part of the experience we provide them on Avakin.
That's awesome. Afia, let's turn it over to you. Thank you, Ricardo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ofer Gertner. I'm the co-founder and CRO of Buff.game. Buff is actually a loyalty program for gamers. We boost in-game rewards across gaming biggest brands. With Buff, gamers actually can win game currency across different games and different platforms. We support today PC, mobile, and soon hopefully consoles as well. While players are just playing the games they love, we cooperate with different brands, with different items, publishers, and we just give our users much more, hopefully, on the time they spend while playing. We believe that games is part of our lives, and why not enjoying and earn more doing extra while you actually play and consume your time with some entertainment.
That's great. And we'll be showing some of those experiences as well later on in the presentation. Mr. Fonzetti, Mark Fonzetti, over to you.
All right, thank you. So my name is Mark Fonzetti. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer and the Chief Marketing Officer here at Scuti. Unlike the majority of the team, I do not have much of a video game background. So it's been really exciting for me to work with Nicholas and the gentleman who created and brought us Fortnite and Halo and ran the Zynga franchise. So I've been learning a ton, and that's on top of my two decade career in marketing and media. Prior to Scuti, I was the head of media strategy and innovation client side for Verizon. I managed about $2 billion a year, and it was my job to turn those budgets into new customers. Like Nicholas, I also have a CPG background and traditional training. I ran investment strategy and innovation for Reckitt Benckiser in North America, so large consumer packaged goods company. And I got to battle with smaller budgets against Procter and Unilever. So we had to fail fast and learn and innovate even faster than some of those big guys. In terms of my marketing background, I was the vice president of US marketing for Future PLC. If you don't know, Future is the corporation that owns Tech Radar, Tom's Guide, PC Gamer, Android Central, and a bunch of timing properties. So I bring all that to Scuti and work with a brand lens to help our brand partners get onboarded as seamlessly as possible.
Thanks, Mark. So that was your cue, mate. So today we're going to show how brands can be organic to the game experience and help every game maker retain longer and convert better. And for that matter, we're going to show how brands can actually get in front of these players and gamers and engage them in a way that they've never thought of in the past. Now, brand-fueled rewards allow players to earn rewards across any game they play. They can log in through universal accounts, right, and redeem their rewards across any game they choose. This is the player's choice. It's always about putting the player first. And brands fuel the rewards economy and open every game maker to one of the biggest global industries, commerce, or G-commerce as we call it. And G-commerce really is commerce through games. And just as brands fuel the sports that you watch, the TV that you enjoy, and the concerts and the music that you listen to, so too will they fuel the game economy, as Afia was referencing earlier. And it's always about putting the player first and always preserving the gameplay integrity. Everybody that's on this panel here today believes in that. And Afia and Ricardo, and maybe we'll start with Ricardo here, you guys work very closely with brands to engage players, and provide those better game experiences for your players. And you guys have got a lot of players. So Ricardo, can you explain, just very, very briefly in terms of some of the things that you're most proud of right now in terms of what you're doing with brands and how you're engaging your player community?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we have around right now 1 million daily active users inside Avakin. And what we try to provide to the brands that work with us, and that basically is a partnership. So we develop together with their marketing teams, with their agencies, an experience around the brand. So it's not just putting the brand inside Avakin, it's not. It's really creating some utility to the brand inside. So if you are a fashion brand, if you are a makeup brand, which obviously for our audience, it's really relevant, then we try to have those versions of the real items inside the game, also for the players to use on their avatars. And they can use anywhere, not just on the scene that we build around the brand with some challenge and things for people to do daily. And it could be 1 week, 2 weeks, or it can be what we call evergreen spaces. So spaces that are there for 1 year, depending on what the brand wants, what the partner wants. So it's really engaging because we create experience that allow the brands to have not just a share of our audience, because there is a lot of integration with Instagram, with TikTok, with everyone on the social media, but also the brand themselves, they will push on their side. And we also gain, obviously, connection with the media and the audience of the brand themselves. So it's a win-win situation for both. But the good thing is when it really works, is when we work together with the brand and we design it together.
Yeah, and you do it with a great sensibility. And anybody that's listening that is on the brand side, you've got to have that brand sensibility, because you've got to have that sensibility as far as the players are concerned, because it's got to be done in the right way that is additive to the gameplay experience. So Ricardo and Avicon Life, they're putting brands inside the game, and I'll show you some of those experiences. Ophir is working around the games. And Ophir, do you want to talk about what you guys are doing briefly? And then I can show as well.
Yes, sure. So I totally agree with Ricardo that at the end you face or you meet brands all over, like thousands of times a day, either on Instagram, social networks, or TV. But we want the users or our community to engage with the brand and actually to feel that this brand is somehow related to them. So when our platform, the gamers, the users that are playing, they are earning buff points for their in-game achievements. We are one of the only platform today which is actually giving them points or rewards on their in-game achievements. So with that, we allow them to engage with the brand, which is the one who is financing those points in many cases. And when they end their session of game, and when they feel that, again, it's not disturbing them, as we discussed before, Nicholas, we do not want to affect their gameplay or their experience. So when they have time, when they finish the session, then they can go engage again with the brand and consume some of the things that they are interested in. And when they think next time of the brand, it will relate to their experience of gaming. So we feel that that's totally a unique experience, which they can have only in such a, gaming and entertainment experience that they have.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And so as you can see here, we've got a nice balance in terms of what's happening within the game, right? You've got Avicon Life, which is getting the brand and putting them in the game. You've got Ophir and Buff that are basically allowing the brands to participate and reward around the game. And then you've got Scuti, which is in the game lobby and accessed by all the players from that game lobby. So it's at their choice when they're ready. We basically are engaging with players before and after gameplay. And what we're doing is we're enabling them to access the brands that they want to buy, right? These are products that are delivered to them based on their demographics, the demographics of the game, right? They're the same products that they're going to buy from marketplaces like Amazon or direct from the vendor's website. But there's a huge difference. And that is that with Scuti and our store, they receive up to 5% back in the form of Scutis or rewards. And those rewards are fueled by the brands. You buy a $100 pair of sneakers, the brand gives you back $5 in Scutis. Now I, as a player, can take those Scutis and do whatever I want to do with them as far as my gameplay is concerned. And that's where the magic begins, because the Scutis are being used and redeemed for in-game credits, making in-game purchases. So everybody that's listening knows how difficult it is to convert players to in-app purchase or in-game purchases. This makes it a heck of a lot easier for players to be able to do that. Now, there's a reason why we chose the game lobby. Again, we've been doing games for 20 plus years, right? There's a very good reason. There are ways to engage players during gameplay. Avicon Life do it phenomenally, and Buff does it incredibly as well. It's all about the rewards, and it's all about being part of the game experience, right? Now, the lobby, from a Scuti's perspective, is the most undervalued and underlooked real estate in literally every game. And to understand why, I like to borrow a page from the movie industry. Why? Because they are the masters in audience engagement and monetization. When you go to a movie theater to watch a movie, the first exposure is the lobby. There they sell you premium movie tickets. They sell you popcorn, drinks, candy. They sell you merchandise. Some of them are even selling meals and alcohol. And then on top of that, they have billboards in the lobby area, and then they show you ads before the movie begins. Nobody's complaining because the movie industry does it right. They monetize before and after the movie experience, just like Scuti does, before and after the gameplay. And that's why we are so symbiotic with what Ricardo is doing with Avakin Life. Not only can you buy a lipstick or an item for your avatar and live it virtually, now you can buy the real world thing from your game lobby using Scuti. And that's why Ophir is doing it right, in that they can earn rewards through buff points, right? As they're playing their game, they can then take those buff points and buy real world products through Scuti. The player wins. Everybody wins. And Mark, I want you to sort of chime in, because I missed you last time around, in terms of your perspective, this from a brand perspective, that is.
Yeah, I love this analogy with the movie theater, because when I put my brand hat back on from my Reckitt, Verizon, and Procter days, brands are used to this model, right? So when I come to them with Scuti and I say, we can now get you not into, one or two or half a dozen video games, but to communities, to the ecosystem at scale, because we're plugged into so many games, that's what they're looking for. And then when we explain to them how we're not going to interrupt the gameplay, they know that breaking immersion or interrupting a gamer's enjoyment and experience, that's something that can leave a scar for a long time. And Nicholas, is exactly what we built Scuti not to do. So when I start with this analogy, brands have been doing this. They get it. They get the lobby, and they love the commerce because of what Ricardo and Ophir and a lot of game makers specifically are doing, or game advertisers. We're creating equity and awareness within the game. Scuti allows us then to turn that equity into a transaction, and the brands absolutely need that. There hasn't been a platform that's done this before, and all these investments that brands are making at top of funnel, they can come all the way through the funnel and close a sale with the Scuti experience.
And frankly, after all these years or decades, the gaming industry really has been very shy about monetization. It really has. But now we have all these solutions that are available that really can help everybody tap into these lucrative models while benefiting the player. That's what this is all about at the end of the day. And when we talk about G-commerce, right, we are talking about a completely accretive and new revenue stream for every single game maker. Right? It's a revenue stream that is 30 times the size of the entire gaming industry. Games are $179 or $180 billion industry annually. Guess what? Commerce is $5 trillion, and they're buying all these products elsewhere. And game makers up until now have not been able to tap into it. Now, through Scuti, brands can now reach the gamers directly and have a positive impact on play. We've seen a lot of ways in which brands can have a negative impact on play, right? And so they can now be part of the ecosystem without the risk of ever alienating players or interrupting that game immersion or ejecting the player from their game and launching a browser. That's Web 2.0. Let's start thinking Web 3.0, because there's enormous opportunities out there. And what G-commerce can do for the entire video gaming industry is that it optimizes the lifetime value of every single player, because everybody shops. And on top of that, it also helps drive in-game purchases for game makers. I've got these rewards. I have to spend them. It's like airline miles. What do I do with those airline miles if I'm not traveling? I've got to spend those rewards. So whether they're buff rewards, they're Scuti rewards, or they're what you make in Avakin Life, you got to spend them. So let's encourage that as well. On top of that, players want the convenience of shopping, right? Believe it or not, from their games. Now think about it. It's really logical. They're going to buy a product anyway. But if they purchase that same product from their game, they're rewarded. And those rewards can be used for a better game experience, right? And the game creator receives a brand new, totally accretive new revenue stream. And thank you, brand, for empowering me and giving me a better game experience as well. And a shocking statistic that a lot of game makers aren't familiar with is that over half of their players want to shop from their games. And Ophir is going to share some statistics with us as well in terms of what he's seeing on his platform, because what he's doing is absolutely awesome. And I've got a snippet here. Look at the top left. So in this game, they're playing the game, and as they're scoring, the brand is rewarding the player. So there's monster, 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 right? And what's so symbiotic about this is that when they leave the game and they're in their lobby, they can launch Scuti and all of a sudden they can buy more monster beverages. Oh, and by the way, they just earned some rewards. Now they can get some new skins or new weaponry for their games. That's how this ecosystem works. Sophia, sorry, I should have had you describe that, but please go ahead. Embellish.
No, that's totally correct, because when there's a brand engagement inside the experience, and when the users can actually win something, it actually increases their whole experience and enjoyment of this game. We can see that it even triples or even more the engagement with the games themselves and with the users for us. So it's much easier to bring them into our platform and to have them trying, playing those unique experiences. And while they win those master points, then eventually we can conclude this with Scuti's marketplace or with our marketplace. And eventually they will want to buy the thing that just credit them with extra, vouchers or points or money to use. So we see with ourselves that more than 20% of our users are just redeeming tens of thousands of dollars every month in virtual goods through our marketplace. And we feel that there's, as you mentioned before, this market of G-commerce that you've mentioned is like almost growing without any limit at the moment, because users are there. They know that part of their experience is to buy and to enjoy it and to have something which will remind them the game itself. And I think that's a great strategy. This is why we are there. But exactly also what Scuti is doing is amazing and just comes as part of this whole game experience.
Thank you. And Ricardo, I'm going to get to you in just a second as well, because I want to show some of the great things that you're doing. But in terms of these rewards, right, we're going to go back to just the power of the rewards, because every time a player shops, right, through Scuti, for example, they're receiving up to 5% back in rewards, and they can redeem those rewards literally for anything they want. They can buy physical goods. They can buy in-game currency. It's also an exchange. So if you can exchange Scutis for any type of native currency at all. They can buy digital items. So they could buy items within Avacon Life. They can buy NFTs. They can actually exchange them for peer-to-peer wagering. We're going to make some announcements on that as well over the coming weeks. And of course, they can gift these Scutis to other players. The most important thing here for any game maker is the fact that you can use your rewards and exchange them for an in-game currency or digital item. We all know how difficult it is, whether it's a premium game or whether it's a free-to-play, how difficult it is if a player has never purchased something in-game to change that behavior. You're asking for a behavior change. Very difficult to do. I have a lot of friends in the gaming industry, and many of them pride themselves on never spending $1 in their game. They grind all day long, all week long. However, everybody shops. So if you can take that behavior of buying a product through your game and then having them convert those rewards to an in-app purchase, you did effectively change my behavior. It's almost like a trial. Now I can see the benefits of in-game, buying something in-game because it's improving my game experience. I'll do that more often then as a result. So think of it almost as a trial as well, as far as that's concerned. And Afia, your players are actually taking those rewards and buying real world gift cards. Can you talk about that for a second?
Correct. Our vision is to combine the virtual world with the physical world. So when they earn buff points, they can go to our marketplace and really redeem goods that are relevant for them. Because if I like NFL or I watch TV and I want to buy my subscription, then what makes it easier or nicer than playing my games, getting some rewards worth of dollars, and then spending it on something which I need anyway? You mentioned the mileage and the airlines, which is actually, they did it many years ago. And I think this is the time for us to embrace it and just copy them. It works.
I'm all for that. I'm all from borrowing from others and, playing that out, within games. Because we all know to that point that rewards programs drive loyalty. Every game maker wants to retain, right? But we also know that the chance of getting those rewards is also going to drive conversion. And it's doing so in every industry: sports, retail, travel, even the coffee I drink. 10 coffees and I get one for free, right? Everybody loves rewards. And these rewards are all driven by commerce. You buy something and you get something. So even at Scuti, your number was at 20% in terms of your conversions. We are seeing 1 in 5 almost, right? 17%, but it's close, right? In terms of daily active users of games launching Scuti every day. Why? Because every time they launch it, they get rewards and they can shop and they can find coupons, they can find discounts, they can get offers. Right. And that number will only continue to increase. Avakin Life, right? Again, let's go back to inside the game, because what Ricardo and the team over there are doing is pretty spectacular as far as brands are concerned. So, Ricardo, I really want to turn it over to you to really take us inside the game to explain how elegantly you're putting together these programs and what your players are thinking of it.
Okay. So, yeah. This is an example of what we did this year for a beauty brand, a Brazilian one, Boticário. Pretty much they sponsored our carnival scene, and we create that experience all around the carnival, all around what it means, obviously, to Brazilians, but to everyone in the world that connect with it as a major thing that it is. So there was a big challenge, and we invite people to choose their side, like 2 samba schools inside the game, and they had to choose if they won one another. They were competing, and in the end, pretty much there was definitely a challenge for the players to be there every day through the 2 weeks that the event took. So the connection for the brand and the metrics for the brand were really amazing. And this is a mobile game. This is a mobile metaverse, Avakin. And if you check the numbers and you check the engagement of the visits, like 12 minutes engaging, it's a lot on a mobile app. It is. So, and the 69.3 years of brand engagement from all the players, everyone that was there through the brand themselves, it's huge. It's something that they don't have on other digital campaigns. And the good side also of it is that they also connect with the real products. And there is really an integration between the products that they have inside their store, inside what they have. And then when they go to social media and they go find them, the stores themselves, hey, this is also a real product. And they end up buying them. Or they go to the real stores themselves that are now open again. And they go and find the products that they found in the game. This is quite unique, and the brand, they see it on their social media, people that are coming from Avakin asking stuff and showcasing the virtual product side by side with the real product. And that is a huge win. It's really that brand engagement that this kind of metaverse, this kind of experience can bring to the players and to all the brands.
Yeah, and we're seeing that happen now. So when you're combining what's happening virtually as well as the physical items as well, you have just a perfect solution for everybody, and everybody's a win-win. Mark, you look like you want to say something. Do you want me to go to the next slide, mate?
You know me too well. So I love to riff on panels, and you never know what's going to come. So when I'm seeing this 150,000 items sold, and I've seen this deck a couple of times, but it's having a bigger impact on me now, because when I think of Avakin, being part of a network like Scuti, where we're actually funding players' wallets, just like think how much higher that number could have been, right? Because a lot of the general consumer isn't used to spending their own money for digital currency right now. We see in games something like an average 5% of users are actually spending money in exchanging dollars for digital currency and then transacting. I'm sure Avakin's probably a lot higher, but on an average, that's about what it is. So with Scuti, we're networking all games. We talked about Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. We like to consider ourselves almost the precursor or the bridge to that, because we're connecting with one wallet, with one profile, with one experience and one marketplace multiple audiences and communities so they can traverse, discover things digitally, then buy the physical version brought to you by Scuti. So again, when I see that 150,000, next year, Ricardo, I'm sure you want that number to be, triple 5X. And, by helping fund rewards, players are going to be able to spend free money and do that even more so.
And it's really about fueling play to earn, rewarded play, all of that, right, through brands. And a lot of folks are not thinking of it that way. Afia has thought about it, Buff has thought about it, they've done it, it's successful. And I'm pretty sure anyone that's listening, when you hear numbers like 20% in terms of retention and conversion numbers, right, most people think single digits, small digits. It's not the case. These players are buying, they're engaging, right? And there's nothing better than to be able to play your game. You complete a level and the brand is then rewarding you. Congratulations, you got to level 23. Here's 50,000 Scutis. Or congratulations, you scored this. Here are your buff points. Players love that. And anything that we can do to help them with their progression is not only helping with retention, but it's helping the entire ecosystem. And we're not talking about just rewards as in points, as in coins. We're talking about reach level 45 and you get a Happy Meal. Guess what? Restaurants want you in their restaurant. They know that if you go in there with a coupon for free French fries, you're going to walk out with French fries, a burger, and a soft drink as well. So brands want to do that. They want to engage these players. They want to reward players for what they're doing in these games and be part of that community. And again, we see how Buff does it so elegantly and how Advocate Life really is helping fuel the player experience so that it's an enormous win-win for all of them. Now, another thing, and we hear a lot about NFTs, etc., and we see what's going on in the marketplace. I think it's great anytime there's new revenues, new opportunities. But at the end of the day, I put my game maker hat back on, and I love the idea of brands providing players not just with status, right, but also utility in their games. I'm talking about going beyond a branded t-shirt. Branded t-shirts are great. And if that branded t-shirt can actually get me a real t-shirt with 10% off or 15% off, that is fantastic. That is awesome. Thank you, Game Maker, and thank you, brand, for bringing that. But I'm talking about doing NFTs the right way in which they have utility in the game, right? And an impact on the player's performance. I'm talking about brands such as in this case, New Balance. So I bought a New Balance pair of shoes, right? Cost me $100. New Balance gave me this NFT, and this NFT has utility because now this virtual shoe that I'm putting on my avatar is making me 10% faster, and it's letting me jump 20% higher. That's phenomenal that the brand is enabling that. All I had to do was buy a real world product, or if I don't want to buy the real world product, I can buy the NFT, but or the virtual good, right? It doesn't have to be an NFT. It doesn't have to be tied to the blockchain. It could just be any item that's digital, and that item has utility and gives me a better experience in my game. So it goes back to one of the original charts that I showed is why would a consumer buy that same shoe from New Balance somewhere else? It's the same shoe coming from the same vendor at the same price, but now I got something that's improving my gameplay experience. This is only common sense and logic, and that's what we've developed here and what everybody on this panel has created for their experiences. Ricardo, I'm going to go back to you in terms of just some of the things and some of the ways in which you're using these brands, right, to make for better game experiences in Advocate Life.
Yeah, so pretty much all the brands that partnership with Advocate, they have the ability to have their virtual items that are pretty much copy of the real thing inside the game, inside our player stores. They can offer them, obviously. They can even gain some money with them in the end because they are selling virtual items. And for some brands, now it's still new. It's still something that's new. So I'm pretty much doing almost, because most of the budget comes from advertising campaigns and marketing budgets, and they are getting some money back from revenue from digital items on themselves. And yeah, with platforms like yourself, Scuti, then they can also connect and sell the real item. So it's that thing that we have with Avakin, with the brands, is that it's all about the experience. It's all about what the brand resonates to the players, what they want to use the brand. So if it is a pair of shoes, sure, it could be unlocking a new dance, for example, inside the game. So you buy it, you get a new dance, you get a new feature. If it is a pair of clothes, it opens the door for exclusive party. We did that with Bouticario themselves also, and a few other brands that work with us. Pretty much the way to go to a kind of VIP event was owning a specific brand, was wearing a specific outfit. So is that connection of utility, what you use inside the game with the brand connect. We did stuff with the Ministry of Sound, and exactly the way for them to interact and be part of the live experience and going to a virtual Iceland inside the game where they were celebrating their anniversary. You had to integrate and play music and know a little bit about the story of the Ministry of Sound, because that's the 30 years edition and so on. So it's really trying to bring an audience to the brands by utilizing the brands on the virtual world. That's what we do. And yeah, it's been pretty successful. And I think even with artists, music artists, we also create collections around them. So if you are an upcoming artist, we have a few spaces inside the game for them to showcase, to put their own merchandising. Most of that merchandising is really virtual. There is no connection to the real world, but they are selling their merchandising like they do in real concerts, like they do in real life. And they also connect a lot of all the TikTok and social media and all the videos on Instagram, TikTok with those items. So we have influencers using the items, promoting the artists themselves jumping inside the game and getting live moments inside the game. That is really powerful.
That's great. And Afia, thank you for that, Ricardo. That's incredible that they're actually jumping in the game, the artist that is Ricardo. And Afia, how are you finding the players are actually using their rewards in order to, sort of improve the gameplay? What are they doing with those rewards on your end?
So we see that gamers, actually, you've mentioned it before, everyone likes rewards, and gamers especially, they're also used to get rewards because when they play, they get gems, they get different things. So that's part of what they know and what they expect. So we try to enhance it and to boost it and to give them more in order to create more engagement. So actually with that engagement and with this extra points they are getting, they are going back to our marketplace or through our brands and collect more RPs, more gems in the games, different skins that we offer them, and always improving their game experience again and their way of progress. Now, we also have a leaderboard, which is sometimes sponsored by different brands. And this leaderboard is always with you. When you end the game, you can see what you did or how good you were. And with that, it always pushes you to try a bit more and to be better all the time, which is also very important when you do competitive esport, which we usually try to connect to esport games and to boost those ones. And I think that while playing, and anyway, you always want to go level up, we try to level up your experience. That would be like the summary of things.
Yeah, I love that. And, frankly, I think every game, and it doesn't matter what game it is, what genre it is or anything, should always have a leaderboard, right? Because I remember when I was playing games, right, in arcades, pinball, right, in the 80s, and you just wanted to see your name, right, that you were the best on that leaderboard. And if we can reward that, that's what every game needs, a leaderboard, no doubt about that. So we're coming to the conclusion. I want to be mindful of time as well. There is definitely a new ecosystem and economy for every single game. And I think you've heard, and we're just touching on some of the things that we're doing with game publishers and brands. At the end of the day, this is an enormous win-win for everybody. Players, they get the curated products, they get uninterrupted gameplay, they get, frankly, a better game experience as a result. There's no tracking, there's no privacy infringement. Any data that we have on the players is all given, it's shared, it's volunteered information, and they can spend their rewards. And as Afia said, they love rewards. We've trained them to love rewards in games because you're right, you get gems, you get gold, right? Those are rewards. Now we're giving them real life rewards as well. Rewards they can use both virtually and transcend into the physical world. And they're all powered by brands as well. So brands, right, also get to be connected directly with players. And they're able to convert those players directly now. So you're advertising and you are now also selling directly, and you're contributing to a better game experience. This is so important, this ecosystem, right? And of course, the game makers to game makers, we're talking about a significant new accretive revenue stream. We're talking about a $5 trillion industry, but what does it mean to every game maker? Look at it this way. If I buy a $100 pair of sneakers, you're making a percentage of that sale. So I'm not going to say on this publicly how much we make, but it's in keeping with all the other marketplaces, but we share that with the game makers. Game makers everywhere are now making money from commerce. On top of that, they're making money with the highest CPMs in the entire advertising, cost per thousand, in the entire video gaming industry. Our floor is at 15 and our ceiling is at 25. Most game makers do not make those CPMs. So this is an enormous win-win for everybody. Branded goods, play to earn, rewarded play, G-commerce, and performance marketing for brand. This is all now encompassed in one platform, Scuti. And with that platform, we have incredible partners like Buff, that take you around the peripheral of the game and reward the play. And then other partners like Avicon Life and Lockwood, where we're putting the brands directly into the game. You are part of that life, both physically and virtually now. So the future of video games, I like to think, and even the metaverse for that matter, and Ricardo touched upon that, it's going to be a much closer tie and coexistence between brands, game makers, and players. It's inevitable. And on that note, I'll open it up to any questions. I'm not sure, is Ned driving that?
Hi, Nicholas.
Hey,
Happy
Ned.
to come back on here.
Thanks, mate.
Well, listen, I think this is a very insightful presentation, and from the engagement with our audience here in the comments, seems like this is resonating with folks quite a bit. We are unfortunately out of time. The session ends now.
And Ned, can I just answer one of the questions that came up, because it's an important question?
That's what I was going to suggest. Is if you could answer the one of the questions that's in the Q&A, that would be great.
Yeah, the beauty of all this is that a game maker, the question here is, how do these deals originate? Does a brand contact developers or marketing company, etc.? The beauty of this is when working with a company like Scuti, is game maker doesn't have to do anything. They take an SDK, it takes 1 hour to put the SDK into their game. And after that, we take care of everything else. We go after the brands, the AI matches the brands to the right games. We literally do everything. The brand has to drop ship, the products. We take care of customer service. So if you want a deeper integration with the brand, we facilitate that as well. We negotiate all the deal terms. Mr. Game Maker or Mrs. Game Maker or Ms., whatever is right today, you don't have to do anything. It's all taken care of for you. All you need to do is make great games. That's all you need to focus on.
Well, let me ask one final request from you guys. How can people get in touch with you? And maybe you could drop into the chat here so that people know how to get in touch.
Yeah, sure. I'll just put in Mark. So get
So emails. I was gonna say, for any brands interested, can absolutely contact me. Okay. And publishers, I think you'd probably handle that a bit more, Nicholas.
Yep.
Fantastic. Folks, this is fantastic. Great kickoff to the day. And Nicholas, Mark, Ophir, Ricardo, thank you for your time today. Audience, thank you for your fine engagement. Join us at the top of the hour for our next panel on creativity and innovation around the mobile games industry. I think a lot of these themes would be relevant on that panel as well. So thank you, folks. Have a great one.
Thanks, Ed. Ricardo, Ophir, thank you. Mark.
Thank you.